Hey, how are you? Are you ready for tomorrow's history exam? What? You didn't study? Bro, this is like the biggest exam of the year. You need to study for this one. Like, you didn't remember there was an exam? Really? The teacher sent us an email. Fine. I guess he didn't send an email to like the personal one, it's the school one, but still. You know what? Come here. We're gonna study. No, I know you're tired, but we're gonna study. You need to pass this. You cannot fail. So, this exam's about the Roman Empire, okay? Let me just go to the Wikipedia. Okay. Okay. So, I didn't study that much, and I didn't read the Wikipedia page. I read in the notebook, but since we don't have it, well, we'll go for there. So, let's just. Okay. During the classical period, the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and much of Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa. The Romans conquered most of these territories in the time of the Republic. So, you understand that? Basically, it's just that the Roman Empire was like really, really big, and like they were really important in like all of Europe and Asia and everywhere because they were everywhere basically. And it was ruled by the emperor following Octavian's assumption of power in 27 BC, all over the 4th century AD. The empire split into western and eastern halves. The Western Empire collapsed in 476 AD, while the Eastern Empire endured till the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Okay, so basically, the first half of it, because they got split in half. So the first half of it ended in 406 in 76 AD, and the other one stayed like for much longer because probably they were more stable. They made better decisions and had like maybe a lot of luck too, because they still made it more than 1,000 year more than one, almost 2,000 years more actually. Okay, let's continue reading. I'm going off track. By 100 BC, the city of Rome had expanded its rules from the Iceland Peninsula to most of the Mediterranean and beyond. However, it was severely destabilized by civil wars and political conflict, which culminated in the victory of Octavian over Mark Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. So, what that means is that in 100 BC, there was Rome, right? You know what Rome is? Yeah, everybody knows what Rome is. And it expanded a lot from, because it was only in the in Italy and all, in the peninsula, whatever this is called. But they went a lot farther because, well, they wanted to expand and have more land. But there were a lot of civil wars and a lot of like politics going on, so it was kinda hard to get a lot of control, but they managed it. And like it made that Octavian won over a lot of other rulers in 31 BC. Okay. And the subsequent conquest of the Ptolemaic king. I'm gonna fail the exam. Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt in 27 B. Oh, in Egypt. In 27 BC, the Roman Senate granted Octavian overarching military power, so the Imperium, and the new title of Augustus, making his accession as the first Roman Empire. The vast Roman territories were organized into senatorial provinces governed by proconsul who were appointed by lot annually, and Imperial provinces, which belonged to the emperor but were governed by the legates. So, to summarize that, because that was a lot of information. So, there's a Roman Senate, right? Those are like the Senate we have here, I think. And it made that Octavian had like all the military power. So he could do pretty much anything. And the new title of Augustus, which is probably meaning something in Roman. And that made him be the first Roman emperor. And also, all of the Roman Empire were like organized into kind of like states in the US, senatorial provinces, that they were governed. It's basically the same as in the US. So they were like having little elections, I think, and they had provinces that were to the emperor but governed by the legates. Okay, next thing, because I'm pretty sure the exam's on the whole history of this, so it's gonna take a while. The first 2 centuries of the Roman Empire saw a period of unprecedented stability and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, or which means the Roman peace. Rome reached its greatest territorial extent under Trajan, from 98 AD to 117 AD. But a period of increasingly trouble and decline began under Commodus from 180 to 192. In the third century, the empire underwent a 49-year crisis that threatened the existence due to civil war, plague, and barbarian invasion. Okay, so basically, the first 1 or 2 centuries, the Roman Empire was like stable, so stable, there was nothing happening. And that was called the Pax Romana, or the Roman peace. And it's like wanted to be the greatest territorial under Trajan. But there was like a lot of trouble going on like 100, 200 years after that. And in the 3rd century, it went into a almost 50-year crisis. So it was not even sure if it was going to continue existing, because there was plague, civil war, a lot of invasion, and that thing is not good for a country usually. And yeah, we'll do the next little bit, like we'll finish this one, and if anything you can continue your study because it's getting pretty late and I'm getting pretty tired, but I really want to help you, so we'll do this part. The Gallic and Palmyrene Empire broke away from the state, and a series of short-lived empires led the empire. So basically, there were not that many empires that would stay there long. It was mostly like people getting replaced really quickly, which was later reunified under Orland from 270 to 275. And the civil war ended with the victory of Diocletian from 294 to 305, who set up 2 different imperial courts in the Greek East and Latin West. Constantine the Great from 306 to 337, the first Christian emperor, moved the emperor seat from Rome to Byzantius in 330 and renamed it Constantinople, like we know it today, like in books and all. That's how we call it. The migration period, involving a large invasion by Germanic people, we see that before, and the Huns of Attalus led to the decline of the Western Roman Empire. The decline of the Western Roman Empire, this like big one. With the fall of Ravenna to the Germanic Aurelian and the deposition of Romulus Augustus in 476 by Odoacer, the Western Empire finally collapsed. Am I the only one that wished it would have stayed? Like, imagine a big Roman Empire. And the Byzantine Eastern Roman Empire survived for another millennium, with Constantinople as its sole capital until the city's fall in 1453. So that should be enough for the exam. But I want to give you a couple little things that I know because, I'm kind of a nerd about it. Did you know that in those times there were actually femboys? Like, we were actually already there. There were a lot of twinks and femboy, and I know there was a lot of them more in Greece time, but I'm pretty sure there were still some in Roman Empire, which is kind of funny and kind of nice. Like, imagine being in a big Roman Empire. Everything's a Roman Empire. There's femboys everywhere. That would be such a dream. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go to sleep now, since it's getting really, really late. So yeah, have a good night, and if you have any question, you can ask me in the morning. Good night.